Ryan still hasn't even cracked his beer.
Don't say anything mean.
And he's not using a coaster.
He's so far behind. No, but the board.
And he's spilling it.
The board is using a coaster.
Good. It's good.
Oh, we get a lot of shots. Everybody come to their net. We just have to get more and more pucks to their net.
What were you saying about putting pucks on net?
Get pucks on net.
Continue to put pucks on net.
Something about pucks on net and good things happen.
Pucks on net.
We used to talk about in Vancouver getting pucks on net.
Pucks on net and driving and making a hard night on them.
Live on tape from Geeta's apartment, her palatial estate on the 23rd floor. This is Pucks on Net, a Vancouver hockey podcast. Doesn't talk about fantasy or fancy stats. I didn't spill on the board, if that's what you're all wondering. Everything's just fine.
You're going to leave a ring on the table.
He's still not using a coaster.
How much does this coffee table cost? Like $8?
No.
That's a very nice coffee table, Ryan.
It's an apothecary table. It's from Pottery Barn.
That's what I thought you were heading. No, it's from the time of yore.
We're going to talk about lots of stuff this week. We're going to talk about Brad Marchand licking people. We're going to talk about the draft lottery. We're going to talk about the second round. Thank you.
Paul just slipped a coaster under Ryan's can.
Yeah, I don't want to get any more stains and chips and ruts in this rustic table you've got here. My name is Ryan Chapp. I'll be your host for the evening. I did all the plugs, right?
I'm Geeta.
Yeah.
Are we the plugs you were talking about?
No, sometimes I forget where I'm thinking.
Something palatial estate.
Did I
we're
do
here.
that?
Yeah. We're here.
There's a panic because I'm turning knobs. I'm doing two things at once.
He's not using a coaster. It's just putting him in a state of anxiety.
Paul
I'm
and I
Paul.
didn't get to introduce ourselves. That's the only thing that didn't happen.
And sponsorship.
Yeah.
Remember, hireagoon.com will bring you goons if you need to deposit scorpions into a backup goaltender's chimney, if you need to scam some folks at the NHL Draft Lottery.
Or you just want to lick your enemies.
They'll do it all.
If I was being licked by Brad Marchand in a game, let's say I'm...
What do you do? Do you go, I'm telling?
No, because I would pucker up. I'd open my mouth like I'm a grade 7er at a party and say... You want some psychological warfare?
Dance?
Yeah, you want to go, baby? You want to dance?
Would you bite his tongue though?
Wait, okay.
Some people like that.
I thought the response to that.
Sorry, bottom lip.
I thought the response to that from Marchand was that he was not asked to stop licking people, which means he should continue.
Yeah, lick everybody, Brad. I mean, nobody's telling you otherwise. Are we offended by Brad licking anybody?
Until everyone gets mono.
Oh, jeez. I was referencing the Burroughs bite.
Yeah.
Where I still stand by, if anybody in a hockey game jams their fingers into your mouth, you're allowed to bite them.
Everyone's got a different style.
So
some are lickers, some are biters.
You have to meet in the middle. That's why trust and communication is very important in these scenarios.
Is that what Marchand said to Burroughs? I'm a licker, not a biter?
It sounds like whatever's happening on the ice with the Boston Bruins is not consensual.
No, but sometimes you got to fight fire with fire. Thank you for joining us, wherever you guys from. Make sure you follow us on Twitter, pucksonnetca or pucksnetca. Dave's in Italy right now?
He's in Rome today.
Yeah, so he'll be gone for 3 weeks.
And Ryan's back to amusing himself.
I'm having a great time. Mm-hmm. And make sure you follow us there. And if you want to support the show monetarily, you can head on over to patreon.com/pucksonnet. Where you can pledge a couple of bucks. And somebody new pledged a couple of bucks. Bradley Anderson. There's a name I'm not screwing up. And it's
Raging Bradley Anderson.
B-Rad Anderson. He pledged $5, so he gets access to all of our bonus shows. So I want to thank you very much for doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Cheers
Bradley.
to you.
Yeah, and if you do want to support the show with a couple of bucks, go on over there and you can get all our bonus content. Me and PMAX Jimbo ranking Jim Benning episode, which we're getting a lot of positive feedback for.
It's our highest rated episode ever?
4.
I don't know what that means.
Fourth highest?
It's 4. That's the rating.
Okay. Out of 5?
Or maybe 4 people. We don't know. Oh. It's got a 4. That's 80%.
It's restricted to subscribers, and we don't have very many of them. We only have 3 subscribers, so to have a 4 is a great boon. I think we've got a few more than that, but yeah.
And I put I said this at the end of the show last week. I'm going to say at the beginning of the show this week is we're really looking to get some ratings and reviews on our iTunes on the iTunes store because those help us out incredibly. We had one last week. Somebody with the username, I think it was Goose in a Noose. Something about how great Geeta was. So if you want to do that and help us out and defeat the horrible algorithm, and if you want to get me to stop talking about this every week, you just go into the podcast app and you rate and review it, and then we'll see that you get the reviews, and then we'll stop talking about it. It's the same with Patreon. You just give us money, we stop talking about it. I think it's a good idea.
Holding listeners
Hostage?
Yeah, kind
For
of.
ransom?
We'll wait for them to pop up. But Ryan, it's not recorded live. Speaking of being held ransom, he's not. He's out. Lou Lamoriello is no longer the general manager
he's free.
of the Toronto Maple Leafs.
He's still on the payroll, though.
You know the most interesting thing I read about that today, or just like quirky,
What's that?
is that Brendan Shanahan was drafted by Lamoriello, and then Shanahan fired Lamoriello.
He also hired him.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah. So,
Is he gonna are you suggesting that later on in life, he'll?
yeah, I would like to Brendan Shanahan someone. But first,
Brendan
let me show
Shanahan, someone. I think that's when you cross-check somebody in the dental plate.
and then show them a video of yourself doing it.
Here's what I did and how and why it was wrong and how much it hurt you.
And now I'm going to let you go.
Hey, Lou, watch this tape. See what happened to Brendan Morrison? That's happening to you.
So, okay.
Joke's on you. My teeth are already fake.
Lamoriello is
Sorry.
free. Brian Burke is not replacing him. Is Kyle Dubas or that Hunter fellow getting the job?
It's likely going to be Kyle Dubas. They had Brian Burke on in the first intermission of the Bolts and Bruins game, and he was really singing Dubas's praise of he's early 30s or whatever, but he is a smart kid and he's not just an analytics guy. He knows the game, and
Does he command respect around the league?
I think he's starting to get there because he was highly coveted. Colorado, they wanted to hire him, and if you look at the size of his imprint on this fantastic Toronto Maple Leafs team, that earns some respect there.
Okay.
Hey, Chaeka had Benning's ear at the draft lottery, so I mean, these young guys are just fitting right in amongst. Benning's a young guy too. When you look at that, young. I'm not even gonna get into anything.
No.
Fresh coat of paint.
Whatever. Benning was fine this week, and everyone's taking the mascot discussion so seriously.
Love it.
I still feel like that was a joke. But I didn't hear it live. I only read it. It read like a joke, but I'm sure hearing it live would change my perception.
I love it if they did ask him. It shows this team has a bit of sense of humor up top.
Well, if we know this team has the Canucks, pronouns, Phil. The Canucks have taken themselves very seriously for a very long time.
That's right.
And I believe Trevor and Jimbo both said it on Sportsnet Radio. And Elliot Friedman was the one who tweeted about it, and he heard Jim Benning say, I also heard Trevor Linden's 0 for 2. They need some better luck. Yeah. And even if they did jokingly ask the NHL, the fact that they did is great.
What's the harm in having your mascot sit there anyways? It's not like they're wheeling and dealing the pick right then and there. And I mean...
Yeah, it's not. He's not going up to he's not going to Chayak saying, "What do I got to do to get some more odds in this draft lottery here?" It's so...
I mean, what's the difference with having Finn at the draft than Daryl Katz having his son on draft day?
Hey, if you brought the mascot onto the draft floor, you could probably get away with that. I don't think anyone would stop you.
Draft floor, but I mean on stage.
Think of the visuals of all those old white guys and Chayaka or Chaka. And then there's Finn. Finn in a suit. He would respect the NHLPA policies. He would be in a suit. And then when they pick 7th, he just either gets really upset, starts animatedly crying, or just starts eating people because he is a killer whale. Either or.
No, because then it would it would devolve into a joke and everyone would be sending their mascots, and there's teams that don't have that cool of a mascot.
UP, he's a great mascot.
You guys joke about like the emotionless, face of the mascots if they just line them up and they would have to over the top react.
Are you going to tell me there's a man in there?
Well, yes, there is a man in there, Geeta, but that's not what there could be a woman. We don't know.
Yeah, Geeta, jeez.
Anyway, but the way they have it set up now, I'm still not sure why anyone has to sit there on behalf of these teams. And people say, oh, it's fun because when they don't win, they look disappointed.
Not fun.
But when they won, most of the guys didn't. It's not like they fist bump. It's not like they even smiled. Most of them just look like Jason Botterill.
Yeah.
Isn't that far removed from? Well, he's probably been removed from being a player for a little while.
He's about
but
20 years removed from.
Is that when he last played? Like, did he quit the AHL? I think he must have
probably
played in the minors for quite a while.
but I mean.
But like, he's not a great interview when he. And I mean, not very few of those guys are that animated,
whole thing
and
is
that's not
awkward.
what they do. They do it less than coaches do, so it's very awkward. And I'm just going. There's got to be a better way to do this because it's like it's fun to giggle when someone like Trevor looks a little bit sad, but even when the guys are successful, they don't look happy or anything either.
The listener Squampton was bang on with his comparison of the Bachelorette. This is exactly what they look like. They're very stoic.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what they look like on the I've never watched The Bachelorette.
Yeah, you look pretty stoic and stiff, and you hold on to your emotion, and you can't, even though you're going to be crushed.
So I guess there's a market for that. Then I think that show's done okay.
I also noticed.
We want to see the face of a loser.
I thought Jimbo would emote a lot from his face, and he must have had a whole weekend of just training of, just bite the inside of your mouth and don't do anything because he was just like.
He was stabbing a pen into his thigh, probably.
I wonder if he went into it the same way, or I just assumed the Canucks were going to fall 3 spots.
Yeah.
So for me, when I came out, a few people like Ryan texted me like, "Oh, that's too bad," and I'm like, 2 spots better than I expected. Then it's like they went up 2 spots instead of going down.
I feel like Twitter had already predicted 7. I was seeing it for days going in.
About that, yeah.
That I just accepted that that's where it was going to come to. I would have been shocked if it was any higher.
I'm really happy that Buffalo finally gets a first overall pick. They don't have to spite pick a guy. Yeah. There's no more Jack Eichel. Let's prove to everybody that I'm better. Like, no, they have been tanking for about 40 years now or so.
But that's the thing. Like, what's the point in tanking?
Well, it worked for them.
It was interesting, though. This is their 3rd first overall pick. And they joined the NHL the exact same time as the Vancouver Canucks. The Canucks have had 0.
Yeah.
They did own the pick for about 5 minutes in 1999. Mm-hmm. They moved it to Atlanta.
Who's their other pick? Well, there's Marchand,
Gilbert Perreault.
Yeah.
And then Pierre Turgeon, yeah.
Okay.
And that was 1987, I want to say.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right around there.
Yeah.
So,
but they have never finished dead last in the league. They've almost kind of been bad at tanking. So this is the first time they were able to succeed.
So who was it that leaped?
Carolina.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's where I go back to, like, when we talk tank.
Mm-hmm.
You can luck out at, like, finishing, like, 10th and still jump.
Couple teams did last year, like bigger jumps.
Like Philly did last year, yeah.
Carolina 11-2. Montreal jumped as well, but not that much.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
There you go. What else we got happening? Oh, have you guys been watching the Winnipeg Jets play?
I'm gonna get up close and personal with the Jets tomorrow.
Oh yeah, you gonna go to the whiteout?
I'm supposed to be at I'm in Winnipeg tomorw, but I have to be at a meeting in the evening. But I was very close to like,
reschedule that
I think
meeting.
I'm sick.
You're like, I'm working the game.
I'll be front row at the MTS Center with white paint all over my face.
It doesn't come out of your beard so easy.
No, but yeah, I'll set up my phone with the free range app on the dinner table or whatever where we're having the meeting.
Which is what we do.
Actually, there's been a few locations where we've had the free range app going watching hockey.
Which is what we do. I can't go out for dinner with these guys anymore without...
You requested that, didn't you?
You were watching it.
This is true. Everywhere I go, I request it, so I don't have to talk to you.
I can't go out with these people. All they do is watch hockey. I want to talk about the arts and what's happening at the symphony. Oh, my God. Mark Scheifele. What a goal.
Yeah, I can remember having a nice fireside evening with you at the fanciest restaurant in town. It was a small town, so
It was
wasn't that fancy.
Tofino, so it was a gas station.
And yeah, it was like, well, we're not near TV, so let's just put the phone up.
What game was that?
That's a meaningless
it was a
Vancouver,
Tuesday,
LA, I want to say.
yeah. I'm a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cheers.
Did you watch game 1 of the Jets game? Or the Jets series?
Was that yesterday?
Friday's game.
I think I've caught most of both of the games in that series, but not all of the games. 'Cause, yeah.
It was the game where the Jets won 4-1 and they were outshot 48-19.
Yeah. And then they did pretty good the next game. I
but
think they outshot
lost
Nashville by, 10 or
yesterday.
12?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a much more even Stevens kind of game.
Right.
But I watched that. I was watching that whole game at Library Square, and they were peppering them. They were, as the kids say, putting a lot of pucks on net.
But
I never was worried about
how are the quality of shots? Because what I saw, I didn't see too many amazing grade
That's
A
the thing.
chances in that game. So it's good. It's better to put pucks on net than not.
It's
Right.
great. Probably one of the better things you could do is put those pucks on net.
But yeah, Connor Hellebuck's a hell of a goalie right now. Like maybe the best guy in the league right now. So you
Right.
got to be a little more.
That's the thing.
Some quality to your shots.
Are
not
these
just
two
quantity.
teams that evenly matched up then? Like, should we expect a long series?
Nashville has been my pick. After the first round and going into the first round, I thought that was probably who I'd pick to win the Stanley Cup this year. I really like Nashville. I think they've got some good depth. Maybe not as big name game breakers as some teams have, but I just like throughout their entire lineup. Pekka Rinne has been not as good as he has in past years, but he's still very good. He would be the weakness. Honestly,
That's
whoever wins
crazy.
the series.
Listen to what you just said. Likely Vezina Trophy candidate Pekka Rinne, could have won the Conn Smythe last year,
But he's the
but he's
weakest
the
link.
weakness on. The
Oh yeah, I mean, if that's your weak link, you're a pretty good squad. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, they got that old guy that's slowing him down, Mike Underwood or something.
Yeah, Mike. It's a way better name
It's
than Fisher.
okay
Come
because
on.
his wife is going to carry that team.
How cool is watching the offensive line of the Tennessee Titans
Yeah.
shirtless, drinking beer off a giant fish? Like,
I kind of wanted to throw up seeing that.
It's both gross and so much fun.
yeah, like that's disgusting. Yeah, but if one of those large fellas said, "Hey, you need to drink this big thing of Miller High
You're
Life,"
like, yeah, Ryan, get a photo.
tarps off. Here I go. So, yeah. Hope you know how to use the iPhone.
San Jose has some fun rally tells by the look of things.
Why aren't you going there?
Yeah, Paul, you spent 5 years on the show raving about how great San Jose is.
I have been to San Jose.
I
I've been to
know.
hockey games there.
The
not
Winnipeg
this time.
Towels don't compete with San Jose's.
Well, you know what? The Sea of White's pretty impressive. So if they make it to the Stanley, I'll be back in Winnipeg later. So if they're in the Stanley Cup Finals,
Send Paul your tea towels.
Yeah,
then I will be trying to sneak into one of those games. We'll see if
you-
NBC can hook me up with the press pass like I had, all
had-
season with the Canucks.
We've been joking about, at least I have been joking about this for those listening, because Paul will be in Winnipeg for a fair bit this year. Also, read your Pucks on Net contract closely. There is a Skype agreement, so you have overlooked
I'm
that.
not going to be doing anything, doing contract work in Winnipeg. I'll have my evenings free.
There's a time difference.
Hit me up, folks, if you have any tips for what to do in Winnipeg. I'll have some off time.
The Red River, and I'm sure there's like Louis Riel stuff.
No,
Gonna go tubing down the Red River every night through town.
well, yeah, because it'll be flooded, right? Because that's what happens in Winnipeg in
there
the
you
summer.
Go. There you go.
I've been chuckling to myself the idea of Paul using his credentials to get into Jets games, and he's running around with a microphone with an XLR cable just dangling behind him, like, "Oh, let me get to the front of the scrum here."
Yeah.
Out of my way, Elliot Friedman.
I would bring a legitimate recorder if I was sneaking into a game, Ryan.
Where's the fun in that?
Anyway, yeah, no. So I honestly think the winner of that series should come out of the West.
Yeah.
Could
Oh,
win the Stanley
yeah.
Cup very easily. Those are both very, very good teams right now, and as good as Tampa is, maybe not as much grit as those clubs.
But they're holding their own against a quote unquote gritty team in the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting series because Boston came out and looked so good in Game 1,
Right.
but they were just on the heels, like less than 48
Momentum's on
hours
their side.
before. They're on that high from winning the series.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, conversely, a little rusty, hasn't played in over a week
That
or whatever it was.
Boston-Toronto series always seems really exhausting. I don't know if it's just 'cause it's exhausting for fans.
They're very loud. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody's thinking of years past. Something, Nazem Kadri. Marchand's going to lick somebody. Marchand's going to lick Crosby or Kadri.
So you never know, do the players feel that tired at the end of it too?
You make a very good point. When the Maple Leafs played the Capitals last year, that wasn't an exhausting series. But for whatever reason, the Toronto Maple Leafs, their Chicago Blackhawks to the Canucks is the Boston Bruins.
Yeah, so the moment they get past them, they're going all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals. Congratulations, Toronto.
Yeah, way to screw that one up, Toronto.
Anyway, so what I was going to get at is Boston riding that high. Tampa did. I missed the third period. Tampa did win today, right?
No, that was the point. They're riding a high, but were they exhausted from that series?
Well, that's what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
Where game one, it looked so good for Boston. Some people are like, "Oh no, is this the end for Tampa Bay?" And I'm going, over a potentially 6 or 7 game series, if this one rides out, Tampa Bay will be back in the swing of things and well rested. So game 2, it looks
Tampa
like
had
they
the
were in
longer
control.
layover, right?
Yeah.
So
they took care of Taylor Hall and those plugs up in Newark very quickly.
Right.
I'm
hardly
still
remember Jersey.
still taking Tampa in that series. I'm curious to see how big the swing could be as far as fatigue when it sets in potentially for Boston.
I thought Boston would come back the way it was going today. I thought they would tie it up and we'd be watching overtime right now.
That would have been nice, but I really liked watching Boston beat the Maple Leafs because as much as we love the Maple Leafs team, their dad and all the kids, they're great.
Right.
It's also great, this is me speaking, I love watching the Maple Leafs lose. And to the Bruins, everybody was rather conflicted. Who do you want to cheer for less or more? So in that series, I definitely look forward to Tampa Bay being this perfectly constructed hockey team, just decimate the Boston Bruins. But if there was a time where a perfectly constructed hockey team was set up to decimate the Boston Bruins, it was and the Boston Bruins wound up taking care of that, and they won that series in Game 7. That was the Vancouver Canucks.
Yeah, we got that.
You got that one? You got that at home?
Yeah.
Listening at home there?
So anyway.
Really like those Winnipeg Jets, though.
Yeah.
I have always really liked the career trajectory of Mark Scheifele.
Okay.
He was a big game player that made a big name for himself in the Memorial Cup with, at the time, I think it was the Mississauga, or the Toronto St. Mike's. They moved somewhere else.
Okay.
And he bumped up in the draft. He was a big game player.
Did he even get drafted? I seem to remember him getting a participation ribbon at that draft. Participation jersey.
Thanks for showing up.
He got a participation jersey because that's when they announced that. That's when they Cheveldayoff sneakily said, so-and-so is going to announce the 7th pick in the draft for the Winnipeg Jets.
Okay.
And then everybody freaked out.
There were no jerseys yet.
Okay, got it.
Anyway, sorry. No, he's a great player. I
He's
didn't
a
mean
great-
to insult him at all.
They didn't give him a
sticks in my
Timo
mind.
Solani jersey. Are you
Someone
a
in the
kid?
crowd could have.
That was my dream. Is that somebody would have thrown it at him hey, put something on, but he had a nice black John Scott unincorporated NHL jersey.
Okay.
You don't really belong here, but you have to wear this. And he's also my poster boy for having patience with a hockey player.
Yeah.
Because I've been saying a lot lately is that in this goddamn world of ours where we want everything instantaneous and we want everybody to be McDavid right out the chute, he was drafted in 2011. It's he's had 7 years to properly develop into a really good hockey player, and he was cast off as as kind of a bust, and he spent more time in junior and in the A, and he's been a great hockey player, and he has progressed every year, and people have been saying he's been the best player on the ice in games 1 and 2. And I think that's just great to see. So if you have a prospect like a Nathan McKinnon that is taking a reasonable it's going to take time.
It's okay to take time to develop.
And if we've learned anything from the dad in Toronto and Pat Marleau, who is 47 years old, age is a number. You have these players for a long time. And I really like how Mark Scheifele's career has turned out. He had 2 goals in game 1. He had 2 goals and an assist in game 2. and
he's
looking
definitely stepped up his numbers. But there's a lot of Dustin Byfuglien's looking really good. He's a point a game right now in the playoffs.
Do you remember? I forgot Dustin Byfuglien in the playoffs. Like, that's a different Dustin Byfuglien.
Yes.
He's huge. He's terrifying.
There's that clip where he grabbed two. It was in the Preds series still, I think, when he grabbed two Preds, one by each hand, and just pulled them out of a scrum. Or was that in the first round?
That
I can't
was
remember.
this game. It was. I think
Was that just that
yesterday?
it was yesterday's game.
There's so much hockey I've been watching lately. I'm like, was that 2 weeks ago or was that yesterday?
It's amazing.
Wow.
And he's playing. They said before overtime he was playing like an average of a minute 15 shifts. Like that's
Blake
Blake
that's
Wheeler's.
a long time to be on the ice.
yeah.
Blake Wheeler's still playing amazing right now.
Considering they have a long ways to go.
Yeah.
Stastny's looked amazing.
And somebody's ice cold.
Oh, that was a really good trade, wasn't it?
More so
Funny
in the
how that
playoffs. He's
worked
really
out,
stepped up in the playoffs, yeah.
He's become he's their go-to. He's their Manny Malhotra, but he can also score a lot of goals. Like, he's winning faceoffs like crazy. That team, like, it's just, and then you have these bit performers like Chris Tanev's brother,
Yeah.
Brendy, and Dave Lowry's kid, Adam Lowry. Like, it's everybody's really coming into their own and just playing lights out. It's so great to see. I love it, and you're gonna be there.
I'm gonna soak it all in tomorrow.
Can you get us some jerseys?
I don't know about the next 2 days, but when I go back, I'll be there for a few weeks at a time.
So many presents from Winnipeg.
Tomorrow I'm gonna see the airport and the hotel, I think, and
the Tim Hortons kiosk.
yeah, probably. I don't know if they have Starbucks there. Definitely no JJ Bean.
They're not very big on Starbucks in the prairies.
I know as soon as I left Seattle, even in the States, once you leave the major cities, like you don't see a Starbucks until you get to Salt Lake City. There's nothing through the middle of nowhere. They're Dunkin' Donuts territory. Or
There's
whatever.
nothing in
McDonald's coffee territory.
There's nothing between those two cities. There's a gorge and a lot of wheat fields.
I drove through Baker City. That's where they have the Oregon Trail Museum, which I didn't get to see, but I will the next time I drive down. And Boise, Idaho, which is the French town that you pronounce like an American, as you do in all the cities in Idaho.
Paul's been adventuring.
Coeur d'Alene. It's actually Coeur de something. I don't even know because they mispronounce it so badly.
Speaking of jerseys, I made a very interesting purchase on Friday, Paul.
Oh dear.
I tweeted about it.
It's not a bad purchase. It's a cute one.
I bought a Windsor Spitfires Michael DiPietro jersey. 64. Good looking camp number. He did. He was on 31 Thoughts with Elliot Freeman and Jeff Merrick, which I highly recommend because he is a very good, very intelligent young man. Very, very good on the stick. Very conversive, and like he's your dream interview if he makes his way up there.
So further to your jersey story, I said I was gonna get one as well.
Did you?
Because my feelings for the Windsor Spitfires go back decades. So I tried to.
Yeah.
Because there is an option to make one of your like a personalized jersey. Yeah.
Geeta 69.
That's right. Unfortunately, I don't know if the website was corrupt or whatever, but I got all the way to checkout and it still said your name 00.
Did it say anything in the details?
No.
I'll try tomorrow for you.
Yeah.
We'll
'Cause
trade
I got all
credit
the
card
way to
information.
I got all the way to the end and I couldn't get it, and I was like,
How
what?
shitty would it be if you got 00 your name?
Well, it'd be amazing if somebody actually printed it and shipped it out and they didn't cross their line like, oh, there's probably an error here.
I'll tell you a good story. One time when I worked at London Drugs, I was getting a T-shirt with a photo printed on it.
Okay.
And it was a bad photo of a friend of mine, and we were buying it as a gag gift. And I was with, because I worked at this London Drugs, they said, do you have any notes?
Yeah.
And I said, just tell them to make it good. And so the girl that worked there wrote, make it good, Ryan said. And they put it on the T-shirt, this bad photo of the friend of mine, and it said, make it good, Ryan said. Or Ryan said, make it good, one of the two. And she wore it for a really long time. It was a great shirt. But you can never trust.
I was afraid they were going to put a different picture on it of just some other person. It'd be like that Jerry Seinfeld bit when he bought the sauce or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
No, the sauce is way better. You don't know.
That photo you put on there was awful.
Yeah, we put this one of Avril Lavigne on instead.
Back to the Canucks, though.
Okay.
He did say, back to Michael DiPietro.
Yeah.
He said a very good thing where he was. They talked about his because if you haven't heard, I thought he was going to the World Juniors because I think it was PMAC texted me, or Dave, actually both of you boys texted me.
Oh, because he's not going to Denmark.
No, he's going to the World Championships as the third goalie.
Oh, okay.
Which I don't know if this is a thing. I need to really
The Americans have been doing it more where they'll take like a college kid as their third stringer to the World Championship. Did Demko go last year? I want to say I don't know if it was him, but a young American goalie has gone within the last couple of years.
There are better goalies than Demko if you listen back to our podcast.
But
DiPietro on that list?
might be into a different country. You can send them over. They're sending that. But he's going there, and they were just talking to him about him in the Canucks depth chart.
Okay.
And like this is looking like a hell of a pick, hell of a 5th or 6th round pick for Jimbo.
The 4th rounder?
Oh,
He's
maybe
64th overall.
Okay,
So I mean that's like
you guys do the math.
That's
early 3rd round.
3rd round pick.
Yeah, that's you know what is throwing you off? They had 2 second rounders last year. They got Gadjevich and why isn't anyone taking Cole Lind?
Oh, right.
So then he came. DiPietro's the next one. So yeah, it was cool because he was taken 64th overall, and he wears jersey number 64.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So like this pick, like he is, it's looking great.
Yeah.
The optics look good for DiPietro.
Right.
And they were asking him about they kind of asked him like, oh, are you hoping that you can take beat Thatcher Demko for that job?
Yeah.
And he answered it perfectly where he's like, no, man, I roomed with him at training camp and prospects camp, and I was cheering for him and I was rooting for him, and they compared it to when Tim Thomas was playing.
Okay.
He said that he wasn't competing to take Tuukka Rask's job.
Right.
They were competing with each other, or they
pushing
were
each other.
pushing each other, which like that's the healthy thing when you have 2 goalies that are that good. So it was just really positive to hear him talk like that, and it prompted me to buy his jersey. So
It'll be fun to see him wind up with the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah,
someday.
I'm like every year another goaltending controversy.
just keep pouring it
These
on.
2 kids don't even play on the team yet, and we've got something brewing.
10 minutes of the podcast. And, well, what are they going to do when Demko's there and DiPietro's? He'll probably win the Vezina and the Calder and the Hart. And I mean, what are we going to do, guys?
And the Clancy.
Yep.
There is some Canucks. We're going to go back to the Canucks for a second. There was some interesting news that came out today, and that they have 3 different league MVP prospects in the system. Jonathan Dahlin. Is it Dahlin or Dahlin?
Dahlin.
Yeah, I've heard both.
Dahlin with an accent.
It's Alf Dahlin's son, but that's from an era where names were overly anglicized, if anything.
So he's the Swedish Elite League rookie. Mm-hmm. And then Pettersson is the SHL, the Swedish Hockey League. He's the rookie MVP.
Okay.
And Gaudette, of course, won the Hobie Baker.
Are they rookie? I thought were they league MVPs? I only caught tweets of this. I thought they were both named MVPs of their respective leagues. So like,
wait, they both play in the SHL.
I believe there's tiers of it.
Yeah, one of them plays in the highest tier, and the other one plays in the next tier.
One plays in the actual Elite League.
So then that
yes
prompts me to a question. Sorry for my phrasing there.
Yeah.
It's very confusing, and I don't understand how soccer works.
Okay.
Which is the tier system. Yerky 21.
Kind of.
Yerky 21 asked about this.
I mean, there's like a Serie A, Serie B.
Yeah. It's just like
Premier Leagues.
If they
Try translating their Wikipedia page from Swedish, Geeta. Says the girl who couldn't buy a Jason Spezza Windsor Spitfires jersey. You're questioning my computer abilities? Huh?
Yeah, no, it's
We're
like
having this fight again, are we?
It's like if you could fight your way up to the NHL from the AHL or vice versa.
Yeah, of
So
course.
like the Canucks would be playing in the American League right now.
I need a flow chart, like it describes the depth chart on a football team. Just do that for all the leagues so I know what's going on. They're very hard to translate.
Right.
And I could be wrong. I'm basing this off of a couple of tweets I saw.
Couple of
Swede tweets.
Couple of tweets. Couple of Swedes.
That's what they call them in Sweden. Sweets. And also, well, yeah, or I don't know if you're going to bring up Petrus Palma was up for Rookie of the Year in the Finnish League, I believe.
Oh, good for him. I hope that'd be great. That'd be for
There's
them.
been a lot of people coming out and saying they think he'll, especially when you look at some of the smaller players in Tampa Bay that have been able to make a difference.
Yanni Gord.
It'll be interesting to see if Petrus Palmu gets a shot because he is the Brandon Reed type of player that
So you're saying there's a downward trend?
a downward trend in.
Well, if he's like Brandon Reed.
No, what I was going to say, if you look at a player like Brandon Reed in the era he was drafted into the NHL, didn't really stand a chance, but we may be on the precipice of, more of a skill era, offense era, where those types of guys that were instant write-offs, even Steve Correa, had a little bit of success and then totally disappeared.
That is a minuscule amount
that
of
was
success.
the joke. They're getting smaller.
I don't get it.
Get it downward.
I was taking it literally.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
That's
They're
a good
getting
joke.
Smaller.
I was bringing them up because they were bad.
Well, bringing them up because they're so short.
There you go.
We're just making short jokes.
Okay.
Don't take them.
anyway.
Hey, don't take them to Playland, Paul. They're not going to be able to go on half those rides.
Okay. That's anyway.
Are you boys wearing lifts?
You must be this high.
Back to the
this tall.
Yeah. You're not taking them to. Pettersson has a historically dominant SHL season. How can anyone other than Dave expect him outside of the NHL next year? Because that take is pretty scorching. Anything's possible, but it should at least be considered surprising. That comes from Yerky21.
Well, that's sort of on the same page where, we're in an era where it'll be easier for a guy like Pettersson at his age and size, playing weight, make the league, make an impact. It's the same thing, though. Like, if he, earns a spot, if he's borderline, I'd totally be okay with them giving him another year to marinate there. But, I like I was just saying with Petrus Palmu, not that I'm expecting him to jump into the lineup next year, but a guy like him you'd look at as like a star AHL player at best in the past. You look at him now and go, he might get a shot and he might be able to make an impact. Maybe it's not a super long career, but he could have a good several years within the league if he,
but
keeps his playing weight and his strength up.
And Pettersson is just,
Pettersson's still much bigger than those guys. Like, everyone's giving him such a bad rap. He was light, but a lot of guys, when they get drafted, they're like that. Yeah.
He's still a teenager?
He was drafted.
Yeah, he's 19.
Yeah, he was drafted last year.
He's got years to bulk
He
up.
put on about 10 pounds, I believe, from his draft day, which is less than a year ago to now. So, I mean, if he puts on another 10 pounds in the next year, he's playing at the same weight as the Steens played their entire careers.
Mm-hmm.
Will he be on the team next year? That's yes or no.
I don't know.
What's your take? Because Yerky's trying to tell us that Dave has a rather hot take here. Saying
would you not leave him there, though, to develop further?
Could I see growing pains or him not being ready for the NHL game?
Yeah.
Possibly, of course. Will he be on the team?
Especially because he looks no bigger than I am.
Yeah, well, you're a little bigger than him.
Yeah.
That's not true.
I honestly don't know. I don't know where he'll be next year because the Canucks don't want to rush anybody.
Right. And they don't have to. They plan on being shitty next season too.
And just because he had an historically dominant year in a very good league, that what does that mean on the NHL level? That's all. I mean, I'd love to see him come into camp so ready to go, be great, have a great year, produce.
Fine. Even if he was physically ready, is he mentally ready to come here?
I think
is
he's
a guy who
mentally ready.
dipped himself in gold.
Well, I would have done the same thing, and so would have you.
I think that's standard practice, but I mentally he's ready.
That's standard practice.
It's Sweden. They always give out golden helmets and stuff after championships.
Yeah.
Let me put it like, could he play on the team? Is he better than a lot of the guys in the Canucks system? Right? Yes. Right away.
Yes. We know that. There's no question.
If he's going
We saw a lot of that team this year.
if he's going to come in and wind up in the bottom six, do you bring him in?
No.
Probably not. That's not going to be maybe the best developmental spot for him. But it's not only that, because that might still be an effective way. The other side of this conversation, and it's the same thing with Thatcher Demko, is how much of a dumpster fire is this team going to be next year? Because if you're not anticipating at least mild to moderate success, you don't want Thatcher Demko in net taking a beating on a regular basis. You don't necessarily want Pettersson, where he could be leading a team to a championship in Sweden or even in the AHL.
Yeah.
If you want to go that route, he could probably dominate at that level.
Yeah.
That might be a good idea if you are expecting this team to perform similarly to what we saw this year. And even if they take a little step forward, especially with Demko, I don't like putting goalies into situations like that. But yeah, it's just not a. I don't think there's a bad option for the Canucks
last
next
thing
year
you
with
want to
Pettersson.
do is instill this
Loser mentality.
this loser mentality in these young kids.
Well, especially with him, if he is a
Like
pure,
like Bo Horvat, it's too late to save him.
I think he's strong enough. I think
Yeah.
he's his head is so
Yes.
thick in a protective manner that he'll overcome and
Yeah.
rise above. But he was,
But even Besser was older. He's not a teenager.
yeah, like we're talking about throwing really young kids in and then saying, "Oh, how come you're not winning?"
And then we would pick on him, and you know how this city is. We
With Swedes.
question. Yes.
Yeah,
The city will talk about how fragile they are. They're not ready. They shouldn't be here. And unfortunately, kids today are so connected on those internets. He's going to read that
all
stuff.
the sweets, all the mean sweets.
It's hard to avoid.
I think that if he is as pure of a goal scorer as people claim he is, he's not gonna not know how to score goals. I would say
Right.
go if
But he's not going to have someone to play with him either.
yeah. So if he's not ready, go back to the Swedish league where he can just dominate, rip it up, and just get as much confidence as possible and develop and grow. So when he comes here as a a grown up, he's as confident in his abilities as possible. And we don't need him to play it. We don't need him to be Patrice Bergeron.
Like, players should be legal in Vegas before they can play.
Actually, you make a good point that they want to move the NHL draft age to 19, and I think that's a great idea, and that would prevent a whole lot of confusion or
Kids would graduate high school.
crap shooting. Yeah, like I think that's a great idea, and I would love to see them do that. But we don't know about Pettersson.
I mean, because you're older in other drafts. You're older in the NFL draft. You're older in the NBA draft. Those guys at least get a couple of years of college under their belts.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, how old do you have to be in the NBA draft?
You can go as a high schooler,
No.
but you can also play 4 years of college.
There was some kind of change. I'm not an NBA guy anymore,
yeah.
so there was.
I could be wrong then.
You?
Me? I admit to being wrong. It's not like I walk around with
I'm trying to remember what it was. I think
Walk around with what?
walk around saying I'm right. Do I look like Dave?
I don't know if you can be drafted out of high school. I know you could
Oh,
for a long time.
So you're
Darius
saying
Miles, he should
you're-
be in high school.
You're
That was a
saying they
regular
moved it
catchphrase
up.
back
Like
in the day.
Kobe was drafted out of high school.
But
Okay.
there was some complaints recently where a lot of teams or certain folks within
Yeah.
basketball were complaining that players were doing 1 year at a college
Right.
and then going to the NBA
Okay.
because they couldn't just come out of high school.
Yeah.
The guys that are ready. And then that's become a weird thing because you've got these schools that are using them basically as money makers.
Yeah.
And it's a wonky. They're not
But
there
not-
for the right
But
reasons.
nevertheless, they still get that year of schooling under their
Yeah.
belt,
Yeah.
and they're a year older. They're
Yeah.
not 17.
But it might be an interesting thing to look at because people are complaining about it now in the system.
Yeah.
I know it's not the same because not every hockey player goes to university, so it's a different setup. But the problem there was, there were players there for the wrong reasons as
Right.
well that may have been impacting
The other thing,
other students on campus or whatever negatively.
You keep Connor McDavid in the OHL for another year. Mm-hmm. That does wonders for revenue and for sales and for buzz and eyes on that
Well,
league.
that's
And
what I'm- yeah.
it helps everybody.
If you're talking about players that are playing in major junior in Canada, players that are playing in professional leagues in Europe, it's a different story. NCAA, they wouldn't have the same issue. It's different than the NBA, different setup because you don't have like.
Yeah, we're talking
junior-
about we're talking about just hockey right now.
We're talking about hockey. We're not talking about practice.
If
basketball.
Austin Matthews wound up playing for Everett, having
Yeah.
him in that league for 2 or 3 years instead of 1 extra year, that's just great for everybody. I just hope that happens. Very very big fan of that. I think we're all out of Canucks news. That's pretty good.
okay.
I'm glad. I wish they sent Finn.
You already said that.
We haven't talked about the story we've all seen many times before.
Okay.
Washington versus Pittsburgh. That series at time of recording is a split going back to one of the most livable cities in North America, Pittsburgh.
Okay.
We've seen this all the time. We've seen this story. We know how it usually ends, and that's a 5 or a 6 gamer.
Usually?
Right.
Yeah.
Always?
I think, well, in 2009, it went 7.
Oh, I just mean the result.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the last 3 years, this has gone, I think it's all been 5 games. I realized something.
If Washington wins this series, it changes the complexion of the playoffs.
Well, because they're not a joke anymore. Because
No,
they
but-
finally shooken it.
Well, yeah, that too.
Yeah.
But it changes things because everybody right now is thinking, yeah, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's going for a while.
A while. Yeah, they'll be there. They'll be over there for a while. We'll have 9 more Sidney Crosby games, and then whatever. I think that they're already planning out a potential Vegas-Pittsburgh final.
Yeah.
But
The
no,
Vegas ratings are through the roof in Pittsburgh.
okay, that's the other thing. Like Buffalo, everybody.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still a lot of attachment to Marc-Andre Fleury.
Well, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
A shitload of people in Pittsburgh are watching a lot of Golden Knight games.
Yeah.
They love that lovable guy.
Yeah.
Little prankster.
Does anyone not like him?
Alex Ovechkin.
That's fair.
TJ Oshie.
I've been a fan of his since the way back when he was
Since
a
2003.
teenager playing for Simple Plan.
What?
He looks like the lead singer from Simple Plan.
That was like that is as a old reference. I don't remember what the look.
Is that a dad joke now?
That's a
Or enough of our friends' dads that we...
he looked like the boy from Simple Plan in his yellow pads.
Simple Plan played at the one of the closing ceremonies for the Olympic Games in Vancouver.
So did Nickelback. What's that got to mean?
Avril
Do about
Lavigne.
anything.
The joke lineup that year they had.
But everybody gushes about how great of fans that Buffalo is and how Buffalo deserves Rasmus Dahlin or Dahlin because
Okay.
they have the greatest, like everybody.
Other places have great fans.
But TV numbers, like the Sabres, the Buffalo region for regional games
Yeah.
and for national games, Buffalo is the highest.
All right.
So they're like,
But it's miserable. It's safer to be inside there.
well, the polar bears.
This is like how Winnipeg can sell out Jets and Moose games all winter.
What else is he
Because
gonna
if you go
do?
outside, it's just snow and actual
it's
moose.
warmer in the stadium and there's hot chocolate.
It's warmer, and there's an ice rink in there, which just does not add up.
That's how you warm up in Winnipeg. You go and sit next to the rink. It's warmer than outside. The ice is actually warming your body.
So they want, that's the selling point of how great Sabres
Yeah.
fans are. But the numbers for the Golden Knights, their numbers were ridiculous. They had 11.1 local market rating for Game 1 of the second round against San Jose, and now that's the best for a market on NBC Sportsnet or on a local carrier. Which that's pretty crazy already, because I mean you look at two hockey markets like Vegas and the Bay Area. You don't think those hockey numbers would be that high? Yes, Paul, I know they have a very good fan base in San Jose. Game 1.
I had another idea.
Did a 19 share, so nearly 1 in every 5 TVs in that market, in and around Vegas. 1 in 5 had the game on. Every minute, which is mind-boggling.
Now, I'm wondering, though, are there weird loopholes in this because it's Vegas? So when you're talking about all the entertainment locations and hotels, are all the bars defaulting to the one local professional sports team? How many are?
Yep.
And are all the hotel rooms, when you turn them on, they
It
instantly go to
automatically
the
goes to
Knights
the-
game?
Well, here's the other kicker.
I'm half joking, but
We know-
that's where my mind automatically
Well, you know how
went
TV
to.
ratings work, don't you? There's people that have to get weird, crazy boxes installed. Yes,
Yeah.
Geeta. Geeta has her hand up.
No, I'm just stretching.
Oh my! We're talking. You don't have to raise your hand.
I know.
But TV ratings are totally the most ass backwards thing in the world, and
Right.
I mean, it just means that a fair bit of people are watching. I don't think a hotel room or an off-track gambling set would have the Numeris box that's what we're called in Canada.
All right.
So it's
everyone has these digital boxes, though. No,
they don't track them.
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm sure, because I hate TV ratings. That's the thing that chaps my hide.
Facebook knows.
If the games were on Facebook, they would know how many people were watching every second. They should put the games on Facebook.
Wasn't Twitter carrying some MLB games this year?
Yeah,
They were carrying some golf too.
yeah. And then Facebook does one game a day. Actually, NHL was on Twitter this year.
Oh.
So it could. There you go. That's the next big thing. And I'm not trying to like bring Vegas down, but it did cross my mind where it's like of any market, that would be the one where I could see the numbers
'Cause it's
getting
the
at
most
least
corrupt.
a bit.
But I also think in general, a lot of people were curious about this team to begin with. And then people got excited about the team because they were good.
And they were white gloves.
And then
I like the white gloves.
now we can't look away.
No, because they're like, what is this? This shouldn't be happening.
No, because Vegas just lost their first game of the playoffs, and even then they could have won, right?
Do you know what this is?
What?
And I don't want to get political, but the Vegas Golden Knights season and playoff run is the Trump the election campaign.
Oh, like you can't look
There's
away.
no, it's this.
Yes.
They're not going to win that game.
Yeah.
They're not going to
That's
win the
exactly it.
primaries. They're not going to.
And we tune in. We're like, what are they gonna do next?
Yeah, and this loss was the Billy Bush tape. How are they going to rebound from this loss? Oh,
It's over. Their season's up.
Yeah.
The Billy Bush tape was going into the first playoff round. We're like, it's over.
There's no way they're rebounding from that. And I was thinking about that today, and I'm like, surely they're not going to win that game. Surely they're not going to beat Jonathan Quick and Anze Kopitar.
And they even brought in a Russian star as the first player they signed, only to cut him quickly after that, so that they've got something where they go, oh, how could I be colluding with Russia? I cut our Russian star. Putin is nowhere to be seen, even though the guy probably will wind up playing for Putin's team.
In the
Yeah.
playoffs,
Who was
LA.
it? Shipashev? Who was it?
Shipashev.
Yeah.
It's like
All
I
the-
couldn't even remember his name.
Yeah.
all these teams are way more qualified and experienced than this doofus. Clearly, everybody will figure it out.
Well, yeah, everybody else is a legit hockey team.
It's terrifying.
There's the best Carlson
Like that shouldn't be
with
them.
the Don Jr. hair. No, I'm kidding.
They finally lost a game. Evander Kane was suspended because things got ugly. That was a 7-0 game. That was just it's Vegas. I don't know what's going on, and not much else. Like a lot of people, this series, everybody's just waiting for them to lose or be human, and not much else out of that one. The Hart Trophy candidates were announced, and what's shocking is
Connor
that
McDavid did not get a nomination.
yeah, that's fantastic. 2 players in
but
the
he did get the captaincy for Canada.
Well, yeah, that's what happens with loser captains of the Oilers.
That's right.
They get it, and
That's so following in tradition.
that's what's so beautiful. They really honor tradition.
Was Ryan Smith the captain of the Oilers? Wasn't he an alternate?
He was captain
He
for a
was
while.
captain.
Are you sure you're not thinking of Jason Smith?
He was captain too.
Yeah.
I honestly don't remember Ryan being captain, but
I
I
was
could be wrong
captain.
on that because he was gone for a while when he
Well,
probably
that's
would have
'cause
been
he
made
was
captain.
always wiping his tears on his jersey. You can see the sea.
The sea wore off from all the salty tears.
Wow. Okay.
Your Hart Trophy candidates, which it's shocking. Now, this is that we don't want to sound like the West Coast bias, but there's 2 West Coast teams or players in the nominees, which is shocking. It's Anze Kopitar for LA.
Yeah.
Nathan McKinnon
He's
for
not going to win it because he couldn't get past Vegas in the first round.
Yeah, I don't think he's the most valuable to the team. He had a really good bounce back season,
Yeah.
him and Dustin Brown.
There are other trophies for bounce back players.
Is Anze the Hillary of the... No. Sorry. Just trying to-
Wouldn't the Penguins be the Hillary? If that's the...
That's right. They're the team built to win.
Wait. No.
Nashville's Bernie.
Pittsburgh would be, if they lose this year, potentially...
Yeah.
Well, no. I was going to say Obama, but Obama never lost. He just waited his time out.
Yeah, so that's not going to that doesn't happen in sports.
That's like
it's-
the Blackhawks.
We're just...
They were good until they couldn't be good anymore.
That's his team, too.
Yeah.
That's Chicago.
There you go.
Geeta, mind blower here this week. Nathan McKinnon of your Colorado Avalanche and Taylor Hall of the New Jersey Devils.
Ryan Smith was never the captain of the Edmonton Oilers,
Oh.
folks. I wanted
Well,
to
then why did he had the nickname Captain Canada?
because he was always playing for the World Championships, Team Canada's.
He
and
chose
was
Canada
captain.
over the Oilers.
We're making up our own alternative facts here.
Jason-
Dave's not even here this week.
Jason Smith, Ethan Morrow, Sean Horkov. When you got guys like that, why would you make Ryan Smith your captain?
Kelly Kissio.
Dougie Waite, Kelly Bookberger.
Kelly Bookberger, sorry.
You're getting Buckberger and Ryan Smith mixed up.
Kelly Bookberger looked like a poor man's Mark Messier.
That's
Another
He
former
had
captain.
a very Edmonton look to him.
And so Taylor Hall is the other Hart Trophy candidate. I think that
Taylor Hall wins it.
I think Taylor Hall's going to win it. Prove me wrong. East Coast bias. They saw him the most. He had some big. The Devils had some huge games in
But if
Toronto.
there was no bias, we have no bias. Who deserves it more?
Oh, Nathan McKinnon. And PK Subban said that Nathan McKinnon was the best player in the league this year, and I trust him.
That's another. That was going to be my point, though.
That's a strike against him.
What? The PK
Against
likes
who?
him?
Yeah.
In certain people's eyes. In our eyes, we like PK.
Yeah.
In Montreal, it is.
I was going to say, it's not who's the best player in the NHL.
Yeah.
It's who's the best player of their
So
team.
I don't care who the best player in the NHL is. Who suffers more, or what team suffers more if you take him out of the lineup? I think Taylor Hall. This year, both of those teams were bad last year.
Rantanen has not taken the Avalanche to the playoffs, and Tyson Barrie.
So who's taking the Devils to the playoffs?
That guy, Corey Schneider, and
Corey Schneider was awful at the end of the year and injured
this year.
You okay? You
And
make
we're
good points.
talking about this year.
And Colorado's got they've got a lot of depth. They've been picking high in a lot of drafts, other than a couple of times.
A
they made
lot
the
of
playoffs.
depth. Come on.
I made a decent trade.
They've got a lot of young
They
guys.
got rid of some baggage, right, Paul?
A lot. There you go. There's a lot of guys that have come into the lineup because they've had these high draft marks or draft picks for the past few years. So you say, oh, there's no depth. Well, yeah, there is, because they've been picking at the top of the draft for the better part of the last 6 or 7 years. And then when they pick up guys like Girard that are instant difference makers as well, that team was pretty good. And I'm not saying he wasn't amazing. He was, and he made them a threat as opposed to just could have been respectable this year without him.
The Devils started the year being, this is very exciting. There was no expectations on the Devils, I'll agree, but the Colorado Avalanche in November literally stripped the team down they made an Eric Lindros size trade for Matt Duchene to get Matt Duchene out of there, and so nobody expected anything to happen. So for Nathan McKinnon, there's Landeskog, there's Eric Johnson, there's Tyson Barrie, there's goalies.
I think we had become complacent about the Colorado Avalanche, and we just expected them to be bad.
That's true too, yeah.
Yeah, there was no expectations on this team.
Well, they've had such a bad history of, Pat Roy.
Yeah, but I feel like their bad was really quiet, and their good came really quietly as well.
So maybe they were just a really good team on paper that just needed a few tinkers and a Duchene to Ottawa.
Well,
do you agree? There are teams that are bad, and it's noticeably bad.
The Canucks.
Yeah.
But when Colorado did make the playoffs last time, everyone thought, well, maybe this is the corner they're going to turn and be consistently successful. They weren't.
Yeah.
They turn around and they pick up some extra cogs there that are difference makers. And, they mix it up a little bit. They get rid of a somewhat acidic source of controversy.
He doesn't want to use the word toxic. We will use it for him.
I was trying to be creative, use something different.
Acidic.
But, you get rid of Patty Roy,
Yeah.
so you get a little bit of a different feeling. It takes a little while to detox from that.
Yeah, of course.
I kept saying, I thought they would be a dark horse potentially last year.
Right.
And this year they were finally able to make that turn. And they looked really good when they looked good, but they played Nashville in the first round. It didn't matter if the Denver Post was saying, the Nashville Predators are pretenders after barely losing one game. They were a very good team that lost to a excellent team that I have high expectations for this year. So I think I'd pick Taylor Hall if we're going by the original definition of most valuable to your team. Because if Nathan McKinnon's on that team, maybe they're still playing. Who knows? But
I think
that's
it's Taylor
what they
Hall
got.
because it's the bigger name.
Also Taylor Hall, you think of Taylor Hall of yesteryear.
Yeah.
And what Dave was saying last week of how he looks like a different player and a different teammate.
Yeah.
And in those games that they actually won or were close, Taylor Hall did everything.
Well, Taylor Hall of yesteryear shouldered a lot of weight.
Yeah. So, I guess it'll be Hall or McKinnon. And
Sorry, Nancy Kopitar.
listen, he's got 2 Stanley Cup rings plugging his ears. He can't hear you.
Very good player also. Very, very good player.
I wanted to bring this up, and maybe it won't be as funny to you guys,
Okay.
but I'm starting to notice that Tuukka Rask really doesn't sound like a Finnish guy anymore.
Yeah.
Because he's been in Boston for almost 10 years. And it reminds me of Nick Lidstrom. Nick Lidstrom sounds like an auto worker in Pontiac,
he's
Michigan.
not Lidstrom yet, but he could be in a couple more years.
I like to call this segment Goodwill Rask.
So I'm going to play you, because sometimes you forget how Nick Lidstrom spoke.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what? Why is he talking like that? And he's got this perfect, thick Michigan accent.
Are you playing Lidstrom for us?
Yeah, I'm bringing
Okay.
it up. That's Steve Yzerman. Get out of here.
He speaks Canadian.
Real time Ryan scrubbing through this video. Oh, and we got a nice buzz going.
Great time out there skating with the boys that I used to do back in the day, and being outdoors and having all the fans show up. That was unbelievable.
This was a day a lot of people were hoping you'd come back for. I know there was maybe some hesitation. The final decision, you're here. How was it out there?
I really enjoyed it. It was a great day. It was fun to be back on the ice. I really enjoyed skating with the guys. See a lot of these guys. You probably won't see them for a long time.
Okay, which one of those was Nick Lidstrom?
The first one.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I was gonna say the interviewer has more of an accent than Lidstrom.
I know. And he's like, well, guys, what we're gonna do out there? We're gonna treat this like you would Friday on the Chrysler assembly line there.
That wasn't Brett Hull at the end, was it?
No, it was Yzerman.
Okay.
These are from the alumni game.
Okay.
And so I've been listening to Tuukka a fair bit.
Okay.
Because he's been in the news. Lost a skate blade,
All right.
which is one of the cooler things I've ever seen. Did you see him lose the skate blade and then throw it at the boards?
Oh, okay. Is that the photo that everyone caught that looked like he had a wand?
You sent me the photo.
Okay.
He has the pop-off blades, the quick change blades on his skates.
Yeah.
The problem with those is if you hit him with a puck the wrong way. And here's the thing. He said it's happened in practice before. And as a goaltender, once something like that happens in practice, don't you go, I don't care if the risk is like 1,000,000 to 1.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Give
want
me
this
the old
happening to
school
me in the
stuff.
Stanley Cup Finals. Let's switch the skates if we have to mid-game. That's safer.
Well, you would think that, I guess maybe he was banking on, clearly the referee will blow this down, but there's no rule in the rule book for it, which I find crazy. I don't actually know. I find that pretty interesting. I don't find it crazy.
Yeah.
Because then you would have a clever goalie, a Garth Snow,
Right.
who would know how to hit his skate blade
Right.
at the right spot on the post and go, oh no, I lost my skate blade. And we've had a Sedin like offensive shift for 4 minutes in the zone. Better blow the whistle.
Yeah, when players take like the net off its moorings or whatever.
Yeah.
Corey Schwab,
Yeah.
I always remember the net came off, but the refs didn't notice, so he pulled it back on when his team had a chance. But as soon as Vancouver lost possession, he kicked the goal back and sorry.
Yeah. So this is Tuukka Rask. He's not quite there, but he's really close.
All right.
I don't know. We played a game. We tried. We had a lot of shots. I don't know what the scoring chances look like, but it seemed like we got a good bus and just couldn't get it in there. We got a nice tip there, but goal played good.
Still sounds Finnish to me. I'm sorry.
That third goal just screened and then gets redirected on you.
It's just you need to make that save. I don't care if it's tipped or what, but.
He's getting there.
He's getting there.
It's not a thick accent by any means.
No.
Do you want to? What if he said wicked smart?
But that's the thing. He's going from probably a thick Finnish accent to having a thick Boston accent.
Accents are an interesting thing. Like, I've spent some time in Scotland, and last time I was there was a friend of a friend, and she's from Sweden.
Yeah.
But she's been living in Scotland.
Right.
I don't think she's ever lived in the States or Canada, where we always think of, like, how do these accents sound if you've been hanging out with Canadians and Americans. So she had this, for me, I'm hearing a hybrid Scottish-Swedish accent, which was amazing.
I got one.
But yeah, accents are kind of interesting.
I do it. Do you do it?
What?
When you travel, do you sort of accidentally pick up an
I
accent?
try not to, but when I'm talking to people, sometimes I do pick up certain things or speech patterns or stuff. And in the UK, if you spend long enough there, so there's certain things that people won't understand unless you say it in their
and that's
way.
Exactly it. To relate to them, I find, like in Australia, I'll start doing that too.
I have one more. This is another Tuukka clip.
Okay.
And this is from like an HBO. I think it was from HBO 24/7.
Yeah.
It's a team dinner thing. They're in like a restaurant or a bar.
Okay.
And I just want to like tell me if you think this like
He's really trying to sell this on us.
This is a Harvard bar, huh? I thought there'd be like equations and shit on the walls. I will take a picture of the finest lager in the house. Time out. I'm gonna have to bust a little move on them Harvard honeys down the end of the bar. Work some magic. Get some pussy next to
I think Tuukka was saying he was going to go talk to some local girl. Like I think they're in the college area of town. But I mean that doesn't sound Finnish, does it?
Boston College.
Yeah.
Like, sounds like Wahlberg or something. I don't even know what this is from.
Oh, hello. Oh, hello. Hi, how are you?
Fine.
So do you ladies,
Come here often?
do I come here? I come here a bit. I'm here, from time to time. Do you go to school here?
Yeah.
That's Goodwill Hunting. I just brought up a clip from it. I wanted to get the How About Them Apples clip, but I think I was like your reaction was good enough.
Geeta was silently laughing hysterically.
howling. Well, I want to wrap up the show really quick with a couple more questions.
Okay.
Mike Shallon asked, should we allow ourselves to get excited about Elias Pettersson, or should we all just take a deep breath and calm the frick down?
Haven't we talked about him enough?
Yeah, I forget to cite this question. So calm down, I think we're all agreeing.
Yeah, I don't...
Yeah.
I'm also media, so I'm a bad example where, like, at the draft, I just assume, they're probably going to drop as far as they can.
We should just play it cool.
Yeah,
no expectations
don't scare
of anything.
him away.
It was like our advice last year with Thatcher Demko.
Yeah.
Play it cool.
Is this like Tinder Bumble advice?
A little
Play it
bit
cool,
hard.
low
Yeah,
expectations.
Whatever, man. If you're if you want to hang out this weekend, cool. Whatever.
So if you match with Elias Pettersson, play it cool. Play it cool.
Make him wait a day.
Favor from Nanaimo. This is a question that I will answer on your behalf. He asks, if you had to be stuck on an island with a current NHL player, who would it be and what three items would you want to have? Geeta's is obviously Spezza, and PMAX is obviously Matt Duchene, and mine will be maybe a Blake Wheeler, the best captain in the NHL.
The man I was mocked for putting on my all-star team last week.
Matt Duchene?
Blake Wheeler.
And we had a question.
I didn't even get to answer.
I didn't either. I
just
wanted to
wanted-
hang out with someone more fun.
PK?
Well, maybe PK.
He'd grate on my nerves after a while. He'd be like, I'm like, come on, we're on an island. We're going to see a lot of each other. Can you stop? How much energy do you have, pal? How many coconuts have you eaten today?
So Ryan is going to the island with...
Ryan's Island sounds like a lot more fun.
Ryan's going to the island with, what's his name in Calgary that has no personality?
Oh, Sean Monahan.
Sean Monahan is Ryan's partner.
I think he would. I think I would, if I'm on a small island.
They would find water and start a fire.
With water?
That's
no.
the joke. Isn't it? No?
Well, we're trying to survive here.
You would find a source of water and you would also start a fire.
And on Geeta's island
that's
with...
what you need. Don't you watch enough Survivor?
On Geeta's island with Tyler Sagan, they would construct a closet and a sundial so that they could play 7 Minutes in Heaven.
Wow. That's a throwback. A sundial. Is that a joke about them being really old?
How are you going to keep time? You're on an island.
You just put a stick in the ground and then we'd be like, let's go look for seashells.
Are you stranded on this island or are you trying to just, chill
Stranded.
out, take a vacation? Okay, well then I'm probably going with Brent Burns because he's always got his backpack full of all sorts of survival gear and beef jerky. Not even joking.
I'd pick Brad Marchand.
Islands sound like so much fun. Why?
Because I figure if the both of us are on an island together alone for a long time.
Lick this. See if we can eat this.
Exactly. Test this one out. And if we're getting really lonely, this guy.
Okay, I knew that's where he was going to take that. Sorry, folks.
There was one more question.
Oh, that's adorable.
And it was from longtime listener Stephanie Pagani, whose birthday is tomorrow, Tuesday.
Happy birthday.
So happy birthday. And
HBD.
we forgot to answer her question last week, so we'll answer this to wrap up the show. And it was, as she phrased in such a charming way, since my question wasn't answered last week, I'd still like to know how lettuce gets salmonella.
Can I?
Well, I was shocked to know that I looked it up and studied it.
Right.
You did as well, and you have a sticky note, and PMAC was like, oh, geez, I forgot to research the lettuce.
I did say that earlier.
in that exact word. So you can go. You can go ahead, Geeta.
All right.
There's 2 ways.
So salmonella and E. coli, and you can fill in the blanks when I don't have the answer, but salmonella and E. coli occur in lettuce and other vegetables, I suppose, if they are fertilized with contaminated manure, irrigated with contaminated water, or if they come into contact with contaminated products. So salmonella and E. coli live in the guts of cows and the guts and egg ducts of chickens.
Yeah, and so it comes down to the fertilizer
what is it come into contact with? Also, don't wash your meat and eggs and stuff, because I used to wash chicken.
You don't wash chicken?
No, you're not supposed to. It just spreads.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard of washing your chicken or eggs.
Well, I never washed my eggs. I would just put that into the water if I was
I did rinse
hard-boiling
my
them.
eggs sometimes when I lived in Madagascar because they were like fresh from
That's
the
fair.
nest. So, a little rinse now and again wasn't such a bad thing.
What about washing apples?
Oh,
That's a horrible idea, Ryan.
Some people do it, some don't. I wash fruit.
I do too.
Do you like apples?
Yeah.
Well, I got a number. How do you like them apples?
That was Tuukka Rask. He was talking about having somebody's number on the ice.
There's so many clips of Tuukka Rask on the internet. Wow.
That'll wrap it up for this week's podcast.
Tuukka Rask went to MIT.
Well, he didn't think he could do it. He was just some wicked smart guy. Wicked smart Southie. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at PucksOnNetCA or PucksOnNetCa. And we want to thank Bradley Anderson.
Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Anderson.
Bradley
Anderson.
Raging Brad Anderson.
For supporting us on Patreon. And you can do the same too if you want to help pledge a couple of bucks to our Patreon, patreon.com/pucksonnet. Get all our bonus episodes from the past year and a half and our weekly 5 minutes for paying. And this is a spoiler, or this is a little tease for what we're going to do on 5 minutes for paying this week. Before the podcast started, I met PMac down at Brooklyn Pizzeria, had 2 slices, delicious.
I only had 1.
All right.
And before that, I went to HomeSense and I bought some stuff. And we're going to play we're going to play Canada and most of America's favorite game show. What does Ryan have in his HomeSense bag? Okay. What did he buy?
They only care about an America in the red states, the blue states.
Yeah.
So if you're curious what I have in my HomeSense bag, patreon.com/pucksonnet for 5 minutes or paying. And if you don't want to spend money on us, you can just go to the iTunes store or the Apple Podcast store and rate and review. Give us a positive comment. And that's the best way to help us out for free. And go like all our social media, our Facebook and our Instagram. And I got nothing else. You guys?
No.
Anything clever to wrap this up with?
No, it's been wicked smart.
Wicked smart. All right.
Move, I would try and tell